I mean, it's great to see her as a quote-unquote survivor, given how, you know, crazy those first years were.
Well, she was attacked and vilified and all the rest of it. We had terrible press, the two of us, for 9 years.
You kind of fed yourself to the lions for a while there, didn't you?
Oh, we did. I have to tell you another Cary Grant story. He called me up right in the middle of all that terrible press we were getting. He says, "Peter, for God's sake, will you stop telling people you're happy?" And I said, "Why, Cary? Stop telling them you're in love." "Why, Cary?" "Because they're not happy and they're not in love." But I thought all the world loves a lover. No, don't you believe it?
You know, the problem with this is it's, you know, people don't talk enough about your sort of amazing middle phase. I mean, we're talking about St. Jack with Ben Gazzara as my personal existential hero, and you know, even, and of course They All Laugh, which is a beautiful near farce, you know, just right on that verge of melancholy and farce that I love so much that you do, and the thing called Love, which I think is a better movie about country music than Crazy Heart that Jeff Bridges got all this acclaim for.
Well, thank you. I like those three films very much. They mean a lot to me. St. Jack, I thought, was one of the most important films I made. It came after a couple of very big disappointments and pictures that I thought should have been better than they were, and were sacred projects that sort of got screwed up by the Hollywood system. So I took 3 years off and went to Singapore, as far away as I could get from Hollywood, and nobody ever made a picture in Singapore, and we made St. Jack for almost no money, about $1 million. Won the Critics' Prize in Venice, changed my entire reputation in Europe. It went from being a commercial director to Bogdanovich, the misunderstood. And then They All Laugh, which was Audrey Hepburn and Ben Gazzara and John Ritter and Dorothy Stratton. That's my personal favorite of mine.
Yeah, I wish it were screening here.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. You can get it on DVD, by the way, with a very good interview with me done by Wes Anderson. Yeah, that's my favorite.
But you know what? It's interesting.
A Thing Called Love is a beautiful picture.
It's a wonderful picture.
River Phoenix's last film, unfortunately. He was such a talented kid.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's so odd because you've known so many actors who have fallen victim of, you know, this whole craziness. I know you acted in a, I'm sorry to say, really horrible film that was Brittany Murphy's last picture, and
yeah, I did it as a favor to Brittany because she was such a sweet girl. They asked me if I'd do it with her, and I said I'll do anything with Brittany. And
she's a wonderful actress.
Wonderful actress, sweetest kid you ever knew. Just heartbreaking. She didn't look well in the picture. I thought she was way too thin.
And she was over-made up to compensate for that.
I was worried about her, yeah.
And then, of course, River Phoenix, who I know you were very close to.
Oh, River was such a pal. He was so wonderful to work with. He was a great kid.
I mean, these actors get chewed up in ways that
well, it's tough, you know, it's tough. It's a tough racket. River was clean for 3-4 months. He came to Hollywood and they gave him some stuff and it was uncut, and the guy who gave it to him knew it was deadly and hated River. There was a lot of it. It was not that the kid was a drug addict. He got screwed. The family never wanted to make anything out of it, but the kid was definitely killed.
No, it's just a terrible tragedy. I mean, now Randy Quaid seems to be in some weird astral plane of his own. And you discovered him. You made him, and he's a great actor.
Wasn't he great in this?
Yeah. This is his first film, right?
This was his first film, Randy's first film. He gets a laugh just on his entrance. Brilliant, yeah. I found him in Houston. He just came in to read for a different role, and I thought he'd be great for that part, and we put him in the part, and he was terrific. And then I knew he was going to do well, so we brought him up for a small part in What's Up, Doc, and he got an agent, and then he got to Last Detail, leading part in the last detail, which I had turned down as a director. I didn't want to do it, mainly because it's all guys. There's no women in it. I don't like pictures with no women in it. And Randy, I needed a 6.5 foot tall hillbilly, and I called Randy. I said, I know you're a star now, but would you do me a favor? He said, I'd do anything for you. I said, well, just come down for a couple of days and do this hillbilly for me. So he was in 3 pictures in a row for me.
Paper Moon, right? That was
Paper Moon, yeah. I don't know what's going on now. I know his wife is, that's a very strange relationship. All I can say is she wanted to be a director, and he used all his money and financed her film, and now they're broke. The picture never got distributed, so.
And now you've been acting, you know, a great deal. You've had a kind of second career. I know you began with Stella Adler, but you're giving these one. I mean, obviously everybody knows your performances on The Sopranos for 7 years, or however many seasons.
Yeah, that was great. I loved doing that. That was a great experience. And that's what started me acting again. People said, "Oh, he can act." They'd forgotten, or they never knew that I was an actor. So that sort of opened the door to a lot of stuff.
It was you in a room with Lorraine Bracco doing these amazing sessions that must
they were brilliantly written. Brilliantly written, and you couldn't change the dialogue. You couldn't change a word. I directed one episode, and we needed to have one line put in because I needed to bridge a moment when Edie Falco was taking off a sweater or putting it on or something. We had to get special dispensation from David Chase to be able to put in a line. The very last scene we shot for The Sopranos, for me and Lorraine, was a silent scene in the last episode, which was cut out, which irritated me, so I didn't pay any attention to the blackout. I was too irritated about the fact that my scene was cut. It was a short scene, though. She was crying, and I handed her some Kleenex. And David was directing the scene, the episode, the last episode, and he was sitting over by the monitors, with a big wall between us, and he yells out, "Ask her a question." Now, the thought of ad-libbing anything on The Sopranos was unheard of, so it completely threw me. And I said, I asked her some stupid question. And he said, "Ask her a better question." I said, "Screw you, David, you're the writer, give me the question." Anyway, the scene was cut.
You directed a Sopranos episode, correct?
Yeah, I directed one in the 5th season called Sentimental Education. It's the one where Edie Falco has an affair with the teacher, played by David Strathairn.
Oh, that was an extraordinary episode. I didn't realize that was the one.
Yeah, that was the one. It's also the one where Steve Buscemi beats the hell out of a Korean entrepreneur. It was a good episode. Sentimental Education was called.
Well, television really has opened up so many more extraordinary opportunities to watch characters evolve over time in a way that even movies, sadly, have not been able to come near in the
Well, I'll
last
tell
few
you,
years.
that's a very good point. In the 90s, I did a lot of television in the 90s, and some in the aughts. But I did about 10 or 12 things for television, 20 days, 24 days, 19 days, so on and so forth. And the scripts were all good. They were all more challenging than some of the scripts you get as a director for features. And the cast was brilliant. I mean, I got the opportunity to work with Sidney Poitier and Cicely Tyson, to name 2 brilliant actors. And it was, I worked with Elizabeth Perkins and Celia Ward and Scott Glenn, and good scripts. I love working quickly too. I mean, you shoot the picture in 24 days is great. Because I don't shoot a lot of film, so.
It's closer to the old studio system in a way.
It's closer to the old studio system, and the scripts are better than a lot of the movie scripts. Because they're told straightforward, they're not told backwards or sideways, or like they do now. Most movies are told sideways and backwards. And you start the picture and you're going along fine, and then suddenly you're in the 3rd act, then you're in the 2nd act, then you're in the 1st act, then you're, Jesus.
You have this bum rep that still lingers from the early 70s of being so, your style being derivative from Ford or Hawks or anybody else like that. And in fact, when I watched the totality of your, if you'll pardon my French, oeuvre, I was struck by how unfussy it was, how narrative-driven, how character-driven. I wonder if you just, at a certain point, just said, I don't want to deal with all these comparisons anymore. Was it with St. Jack or They All Laugh that you just said, you know, I'm going to find my own voice here, you know, definitively?
Well, I think St. Jack and They All Laugh were pictures where I definitely did it exactly the way I was going to do it. And I'd made enough pictures by then that I knew what not to do and what felt right for me. But you know, when you start out, you're really obviously influenced by people that you've observed and things that you liked. I never thought I was doing an homage to anybody. I mean, the standard Bogdanovich review was, this is his homage to John Ford, or this is his homage to George Cukor, or this is his Shirley Temple movie they said about Paper Moon, which was, you know, the anti-Shirley Temple movie. So most of that stuff goes in one ear and out the other, but...
Well, I believe Shirley Temple did once say, I have to go to the shit house in the movie, wasn't it? What was that movie? I can't remember. I can't believe anybody would say that was a Shirley Temple movie.
Oh, God, the stuff that's been written about me, you know, you kill yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you have, I'm sorry, you have so much shit written about you. For, you know, you have biographies that are like terrifying to hold and all these various accounts of that period. Do you ever just want to go, I'm not so bad? I mean...
I don't read this stuff. So at a certain point in the 70s, I stopped reading things about me because they were just too depressing. And they didn't have anything to do with the person I thought I was, or the person that people around me thought I was. So I just said, to hell with it. I've outlived it. You get to be, they knock you down, you get up, you knock you down, they get up, you knock you down, you get up, and if you keep getting up enough and stay up, you're a legend. Or you're an icon. I'm now an icon.